Come and dream with me.
Hello and welcome to Morning on Watch, the Exploding Network's premier media podcast. Every week we get together and talk about movies, TV, and online content and help you answer the question, is it dumb to have a streaming service called HBO Max? And being like, that doesn't really sum up our streaming service, so let's just drop HBO, a very known and well-regarded entity, and we'll just call it Max. And then you'll wait 2 years, and then just after you launch that service here in Australia, you're like, guess what? We're going to recall it HBO Max. Is that dumb?
I'd explain this to my dad the other day because obviously Max, you're joking, but because it just released in Australia, and I only just got my dad to understand it's called Max. And then the other day I had to go, okay, so they're changing it back to HBO Max. He's like, Max? I'm like, yeah, they're changing it. You're allowed to call it HBO Max now, officially. He's like, the HBO app's called HBO. I'm like, no. So the app that you used to call HBO, which I said is called Max, is now going to be called HBO Max. So you have to say the one thing that you used to say, HBO, which was incorrect, and Max, the thing I had to teach you, and now it's called HBO Max. Good. Let's go.
Yes. And it's amusing that they had all these videos prepped, knowing that people were going to make fun of.
Yeah, they just asked some intern, hey, can you go find old time celebrities and stuff, just shit talk the name of it in press interviews and stuff?
No, they're doing press for Last of Us and Peacemaker. They've got them to say, don't say Max, say HBO Max. From tomorrow, it'll be HBO Max. But it hasn't been changed yet on the app.
No, it says Max.
At least it's good here in Australia because I believe max.com.au takes you to some professional consulting site.
Nice.
I'm your host, Ash Hobley. Joining me today, Dylan Blight.
Oh, yeah. We hadn't done that part. Yeah. Happy to be here talking about names.
Yes. They can be changed at any point for any reason. Okay. On today's episode, we'll be talking about what's in a watch history, giving some thumbs to trailers, and giving this week's top 3. Kicking things off, we talked about it briefly last week. It's concluded this week. Over on Holocron Entries, our Star Wars podcast, we've been talking about Andor Season 2. It's now officially concluded. Dylan, did it stick the landing?
I was about to say, didn't we talk about... Yeah, it stuck the landing. It's very good. It's one of the best Star Wars things ever created. Full stop. Everyone that says they like Star Wars should watch it. Or anyone that says they like good television. Or no, if you like good storytelling, you should just watch Andor. There you
go. Yeah, I mean, it's up there with the best stuff that they've done since they started.
I think it's up there with the best stuff they've done, full stop. I think it's better than most movies, and it's better. It's better than all the TV shows. It is the best TV show. So I just think it's up there, full stop, as top 3 Star Wars things. That's a hard ranking, but I think it's there.
Yep. Yeah, I think, just as a spy show, I think it's fantastic, and then you just add that Star Wars element to it. So, yeah, if you watched Andor, you go back to listen to our podcasts where we talk about each episode or each batch of episodes in depth. But yeah, it was a hell of a 4 weeks. And I'll admit, I'm glad that we got them in 3 episode chunks, because there were some cliffhangers to episodes that I don't know if I could have stood waiting a whole week.
Yeah, you could have. And you would have.
I don't think I could have.
You would have.
I would have had to.
Yeah, you would have had to, yeah.
But the option...
Burn strong and fast,
Yeah. It was there. So, all right. We also, this weekend, both saw Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. We just finished our mini-series, The Road to Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, which you can listen to on this podcast feed. We did a spoiler cast, which you can listen to now. Dylan has a review up on the website. He gave it a 6 out of 10. Dylan, do you want to explain why you gave the final Mission Impossible movie 6 out of 10?
Because I'm a negative Nancy. Yeah. So I obviously a really big. I would consider myself a fan of the franchise. Love the majority of the films. I definitely think this is one of the worst entries, simply because it's gets lost in its own little maze that Christopher McQuarrie and Tom Cruise have made over there over the last few years with these films. They got lost in their own shit a bit, I think, and in the task of setting out to tell a good movie, they ended up focusing too much on the Tom Cruise, Ethan Hunt aspect, and then trying to over explain and make sure the audience understood all the ridiculous threads and plot lines and link everything up through several movies and all the way back to the first one, to this one, to this one. And they just get weighed down with that. And because of that, the characters aren't as good. The core narrative isn't good. It's just not as thrilling or as exciting or as engaging as several of the last few Mission Impossible films. So it's still got the spectacle. There's still some amazing stuff here. There's still a really good sequence in a submarine. The last action scene is still thrilling. But yeah, from just a core filmmaking perspective, I don't think it's anywhere near a lot of the rest entries.
Yeah, I agree. I think the plot sees the team split up, and that is the team dynamic is what we've kind of fallen in love from Mission Impossible 3 all the way through to now. I mean, the first ones, he didn't really have a team because they all died. The first movie, they didn't really have a team in the second movie. It was mostly him solo, I guess, for the most part. So yeah, I mean, not having that team dynamic pulls away from this movie. There's, I would say, 2 action set pieces, which is far less than we've come to expect in these movies. There is a lot of rationale and explanation as to why, in the build-up to these long stretches of not anything action-based. But when we do get the action, it's some of the best things you'll ever see in cinema. It's just such a weird juxtaposition, but those singular moments don't make a fantastic movie. So, yeah, I would still recommend going to see it. I think you need to. You need to see it in cinemas because that's the best place to see these crazy action sequences that Tom Cruise pulled off, and because one of the scenes is quite dark and you probably won't be able to see it on television.
Your TV.
If you're you're like me, and if you're streaming it, it's just going to be like every other dark piece of media. Really difficult to watch. So yeah, go see the movie, then check it out spoiler cast, or read Dylan's view and be like, I'll base my opinion on that, and then never see the movie. Yeah. So check those out. I was fortunate enough to go to an early screening of Lilo and Stitch, the new Disney remake of an animated film, directed by Dean Fleischer, who did Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. Much more, yeah, obviously we all know Lilo and Stitch. This Stitch is an experiment that's created by a scientist, evil scientist in an outside lab, and to be the most dangerous and blood-seeking and evilest little creature that you could imagine. Except he's just very freaking adorable. He escapes an alien council who want to exile him, and he flies hyperflies a ship to Earth, where he crash lands on an island in Hawaii. Meanwhile, we've got the little girl Lilo, who is very ostracized by her friend, all the other little kids, because her parents have died. She's being raised by her older sister, who's struggling to get by. She just wants a friend, so she sees this spaceship flying in. She thinks she's wishing on a star. It's actually his spaceship, and he's crashing in. And he ends up at a animal shelter where Lilo adopts him, and they become best of friends. You know, how familiar you with Lilo and Stitch? Was it one that was in regular rotation?
Yeah, regular rotation, and I really liked the TV show they did. You know, he was like tracking down all the other escaped experiments.
I mean, I think at one point we were talking about doing a series around Lilo and Stitch. Like, let's watch all the movies and all the little bits and pieces. And thank God we didn't, because who has the time? We would have had to start ages ago. This is fantastic. I mean, it's a really fantastic movie. I think all my gripes with it are like just because I've seen the movie recently, and like it just doesn't quite.
Did you watch it
fit
recently?
What I
just
was expecting,
or because this?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm like, oh, I should probably watch it so I can compare the bits. Like there's a lot of stuff that's very accurate. Like the opening, like setup on the alien spaceship is like, it is just a 3D animated version of the film, and it looks incredible.
It's just a bunch of people, like 6 people in a thing, and then he just walks in on like it's just like a lot of nothingness, isn't it? It's just yeah, it's not much.
Yeah, a little
set,
right?
He
comes up and he's put on a
circular
on a stage, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they've done a great job of adapting it, but also making it, I guess, realistic. By making a bunch of several changes. I'm sure there's like some things that are clearly cut for budgetary reasons, like the captain dude who's like out for Stitch, the really tall guy.
Bubbles.
He's not in the film at all. No, Bubbles in the film, but he is not a foster care person. He is just a CIA agent who happens to be in the area, like investigating a crash landing spaceship. You know, which makes sense in 2025, where it wouldn't be out of surprise to see, like, someone would come and invest a spaceship crashing to Earth. You know what I mean? So instead, they have Tui Korea, who was in the original film, as the foster care, what's the word? A social worker, dealing with Nani and that kind of stuff. All the stuff with the sisters, Lilo and Nani. Lilo played by newcomer Maya Kaleo, and Nani played by Sydney Elizabeth Agadoon. That's all fantastic and full of heart and really beautiful, and like you get very emotional watching these two sisters who are just Nani is trying to stay together, and Lilo is just trying to still be a little girl. Even though she still has those weird tendencies, like she still feeds the fish the sandwich and that kind of stuff. She doesn't take photos of people, of random people around town, which is a bit disappointing. That kind of pulls, but yeah, I think this movie is filled with so much heart and delight that it had me tearing up towards the end. Especially because they made a rather big change to how the conclusion of the film plays out. That is a little bit of a tearjerker thing that could mess up some small, or like really upset some small kids. So I'd just be aware of that. But my other gripe is, obviously you've got the 2 aliens that have come to Earth to try and capture Stitch. You've got Agent Bleakley, the Earth expert and that kind of stuff. He's played by Billy Magnuson. He's really good in this role. But Zach Galifianakis plays Dr. Jumba. And Dr. Jumba's got this weird, like, really deep voice with, like, a strong accent. It's just Zach Galifianakis. Being Zach Galifianakis, not even doing a voice, just talking normally. And it just doesn't, it's just, the disconnect is too far for me in that kind of stuff. And they do very much change his character. It's not the same. The conclusion, the makeup of the group family unit at the end of this film is quite different. They also introduce they create the character of Tutu, I think it is, who is the Nani's neighbor, and I believe David, the love interest, is like grandmother or mother, and like she is also part of this family unit and is trying to help Nani as much as he possibly can. So, that was really beautiful. So, She's really funny as well, like with lots of funny stuff. I think this movie does lose, because of the nature of coming to live action, it loses a lot of the cartoony stuff that you get in Lilo and Stitch, like with Stitch doing like crazy over the top stuff.
Does she climb inside
You
a
get
washing
snippets
machine?
of like,
or
no, they don't climb into the washing machine or into the laundry basket,
or whatever they changed it to. Yeah,
whatever they changed it to. They're like Peakley and Jumba are not pretending to be dressed up as aliens. They've got human transformation technology, lets them clone people. There isn't the crazy blowing up giant spaceships and all that kind of stuff. It's a little bit more realistic.
One thing I find funny is that Chris Sanders, who's like wrote the original film and voices Stitch, not a voice actor. Like all he does is voice Stitch and everything ever since he done that movie. But like he's still just still making his other movies. Like he was making The Wild Robot at the same time he was voicing, doing this. He's like
Stitch.
He's over here making this new. He's still continuing his career, like doing what he wants to do, which is writing these animated stories, or whatever. But they're like, hey, do you want to come back for your paycheck and just voice Stitch for them? It's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, he's fantastic in this, and also adds a lot of heart. I think, yeah, really, really fantastic film. I think it's going to be a big winner this holiday season. Everybody should go see it. You just got to accept that
Going
it's
on
going to be
Thursday.
slightly different. It is going to be slightly different to the animated film. One person who I was surprised was in the film, Hannah Waddingham, who plays the Grand Councilwoman, who's like the grey alien who's in charge of the entire United Galactic Federation. I just thought that they brought the same actress back from the film. She sounds just like her.
Sure.
Unless Hannah Waddingham voiced her in the original.
Definitely don't think.
Unlikely.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was fantastic. So, yeah, loved it. Like Stitch is so adorable as Stitch. That kind of stuff. I mean, there are some changes that I don't know why they've changed it, but they just have.
Does Ohana still mean family?
Ohana does still mean family, and family is never forgotten.
Never leave people behind.
Ohana means family. Family means no one gets left behind or forgotten.
Yeah.
Yes.
As long as that's still in the movie.
Everybody forgets the and forgotten part, So, but no, in the film, like Stitch finds the book The Ugly Duckling and becomes very attached because he thinks of himself as an ugly duckling. That is not in this movie. So, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. The crowd I watched it with really enjoyed it. All the kids were very quiet. There was no screaming, so.
They were in. They were zoned.
That was pretty rare.
They was zoned in.
They were zoned in and just caught up in the adorableness. So yeah, go watch Lilo and Stitch this week.
I will. Thanks. Yeah.
You're welcome. Dylan, you saw Final Destination Bloodlines.
I did.
This week.
This is it's making a shit ton of money based on the box office report I saw.
The highest grossing weekend of the franchise, I believe.
Which is crazy because it's it was at its highest. It was part of that early 2000s, mid 2000s genre rush of horror movies. So, yeah. So this one is an interesting film. I think I gave it a 6 as well.
Yes, you did.
That and Mission Impossible 6. I think there's a lot of really interesting stuff here. Similar to Mission Impossible, my complaints are sort of just with the characters, to be honest. But so the setup for this one, because you've never seen a Final Destination movie, obviously, the setup to those films is usually the movie starts, you meet all the characters, some big event happens. So obviously in the first one, it's a plane crash. Second one, it's a highway crash. Third one, roller coaster. Fourth one, race car. No. Oh no, I'm a bit lost now. But they in this one, it actually starts in the 1950s, and you see this woman, she basically has the premonition about this big like restaurant tower thing breaking apart, and everyone dies. That's up there, like hundreds of people. And then instead of flashing back to follow that character as we usually would, when it would usually snap back to her saving the day sort of thing, we now snap to present day to her, what is revealed to be her granddaughter, who's having these memories of what her grandmother sort of saw. So then she starts trying to pry into her family's history to figure out why she's having these things, and no one likes talking about her grandmother because everyone of course assumes she's insane because her grandmother's basically locked herself away and refuses to go outside because she thinks death's coming for her. So everyone's like, she's insane. I mean, rightfully so, I guess. Yeah, so it sort of changes things up from the get-go, which is exciting for the franchise. There's a lot of interesting connections in the way it tries to tie together all of the films within this one. I think to it in a way that it worked for me. I had no problems with the way it plays out. But my main complaint is that the main girl. I'm trying to find her name quickly. Will I be able to do that? Yes, I will. So the main girl, played by Caitlin
Santo-Juana.
I just didn't like her, to be completely honest. I found her annoying. She's annoying from the get.
The character.
Yeah. No, just to that. No, of course the character. Yeah, I just found her annoying from the get-go of the film. Her whole family doesn't really like her. They're well, no, like especially her brother, who's the other main character. From the outset, he's like sort of pissed off that she randomly shows back up because he's like, you abandoned us, you don't come visit anymore. All this, she's just a very like, she's very boring. She's just very just. There's not a lot to her, and that's nothing too shocking for the franchise. But I think what doesn't help it is there's some other characters, including the girl who's playing the young Iris at the start of the movie, Breck Bassinger, who we see for about 15 minutes at the start of the film before we flash back. She was really good, and I was liking her. And then we flash forward in time, and now I'm in the shoes of the main character. I'm going, well, you're nowhere as interesting as the actor I was just following, and the character I was just following. So that's annoying. We also meet the person who has the most personality in the film is the character played by Richard Harmon, who was in that first teaser trailer with the nose ring and everything like that. He's full of personality, and he's great. And I saw, and in fact, his character has the most interesting sort of dilemma when it comes to the way this movie plays out. And he was by far the most interesting character in the film. But yeah, not the lead. The brother sister duo, who are the leads and the main characters and the position to be the main characters, just were the most boring to me, and that sort of made the film suffer, especially as it goes for its beaten path. Tony Todd shows up again, of course, passed away. His final destination, as it would be. He's really good. He's probably in it for about 5 minutes. The only character who's shown up in every Final Destination film apart from one of them, because he didn't show up in the 3D one. But yeah, he makes a really good appearance here, and I think a very like sort of poetic speech he gives to the characters that you can tell is sort of to the audience as well about appreciating life and stuff like that, which I thought was good. The kills are good. It's probably the most gory entry in the franchise. They somehow haven't run out of inventive ways to kill and tease people, in these traps where you just see things dropped and pulled, like it's like, is it going to be this? Is it going to be this? Is it going to? And then it's something else, and it's absolutely insane the way some of the people die in this movie. My favorite, and I don't want to say who because I guess I'll destroy it. There's a part of this movie where someone is hit by a soccer ball in the face, which causes them to fall back into a bin right as the bin is being picked up by a garbage truck and then dumped into a garbage truck. And then, of course, they try to get the person out and they can't, and then they're squashed to death. So that was good. Not the most gory kill in the movie, however, the funniest. For sure. Yeah, so I think fans of the genre should be pretty happy with this one, and overall I think the reaction's been very positive, and yeah, as I just said, everyone's going out to watch it at the cinema, which is good. This is set up to be the final one, as weird as that is to say, and I can't really say why without spoilers, but this does wrap up the story in a tight sort of way. But I think considering how well it's doing, I'd be shocked if they don't return for another one at this stage.
Yeah, that sounds exciting. So obviously you've been doing a rewatch of all these Final Destinations in the lead up to this one.
Yeah.
Do you want to exclusively reveal here what your final ranking is?
I can. I will have this up in an article and with a bit more of a breakdown and whatever else. But here is my official ranking because I did do a rewatch. So hold on, let me just pull up because I can't remember when this one. I just want to make sure I get the right order. All right, so number 6. There's 6 of these films. God damn. Number 6, The Final Destination, released in 2009. This is the 3D entry. It goes for a very short 1 hour 22 minutes. This is the most sort of by the numbers, boring, super gimmicky, reliant on the 3D effects. Starts with a race. They're at like a NASCAR race, and all these cars blow up into one another and stuff like that. There's like a douchey dude and like a bimbo girl and the nice normal girl and the nice dude who's friends with the douchey and the bimbo girl. Like it's the most stereotypical mix of characters. There's like a racist dude there because reasons, a cowboy. Like it's just all these like nonsensical characters. Yeah, so that one's the worst, and it is also the one I had to purchase a Blu-ray to watch because there was nowhere to stream to be able to complete my official watch along, which was quite funny. The rest you could find on a mix of streaming services. Though. Number 5, I'm going Final Destination 3, which was released in 2006. This one was starts with a roller coaster. I lost my words there for a second. Starts with roller coaster. This one, interestingly, stars Mary Elizabeth Winstead, how we say her name. I don't mind this one. This is her performance is good. Like having this is an entry that has an actor, I think, of substance in the role, and that does help. She's like a main character you're happy to follow along with. And I guess to my point, comparing it to Bloodlines, this is where I'm like, this is a strong character in the lead, and I cared more about if they lived or died or not, and was hoping they would escape. But of course, the movie's not about them escaping. It doesn't really do anything different to the rest of the Final Destination films though. Like it sort of follows along the beaten path. Like the characters may be better, but I think the story doesn't really try anything different. This one was still in a world following after 1 and 2. This one was like it I guess not trying to do anything to reinvent the wheel. They're just like, oh, those ones made a bunch of money. Let's just go for another one, sort of thing. Then I'm gonna go Bloodlines. So I'm putting Bloodlines just above that at number 4. So I won't recap what I just said about that one. Number 3, I'm going the first film, Final Destination, the one that kicked it all off. This one on rewatch, it was still good. Devon Sawa is the lead in this one, who's obviously gone on to prominent things. And again, I think an actor, well, some sort of like there's people in this, like there's characters and stuff. Sean William Scott's in this as well. Like they're characters you care about. Or Ali Larter, of course, is in this one, and she's in 2, which we'll talk about soon enough as well. Old actors who brought stuff to it. Yeah, I mean, this is the one that invented the thing. I remember watching this for the first time and just thinking when I was in high school and thinking it was such a fun idea, and it still is to me. The behind the scenes is apparently it started as a I think it was an X-Files episode or something like that, but they didn't get to turn it into a story, and then they respect it and managed to turn it into the full length movie the way it is. And I guess you could picture this as like some sort of X-Files episode, obviously not as gruesome as it turns out to be, but yeah, it's also like watching this one. This is the film that turned people off flying for. I think for a lot of people turned off flying. Number 2, I'm going Final Destination 5, which was released in 2011. This one has a really cool start. I think the other thing that changed up about this one compared to the others is most of the other films were, they were, other than Bloodlines, they're all the characters that survive because of one person helping them. They don't know each other. Maybe a couple know each other, like there's a couple here, friends, couple there, but by the time you have your group of 6 or whatever, after they one of them helps save them all, they're brought together by fate. Whereas this one, it starts with a group of like 6 people or more, whatever it is. They're hopping on a bus for a company retreat. They all work for some whatever company. The lead dude, the boss of this, well, not the boss of the company, but the boss of this particular team is David Koshner. So he brings, that particular. I mean, it's David Koshner playing David Koshner, to be completely honest, but no complaints for the way this plays out. Yeah, so and they have this major bridge collapse at the start of this one, and then you have a bunch of characters obviously survive that. And then it's probably one of the best opening scenes, I think. Like, it is really well done with the way I think the bridge breaks apart and everything like that. And then a bunch of the kills are really exciting as well. There's a gymnastic one that is absolutely brutal to watch. I think it's still one of the best. Also, the way PJ Byrne is in this film. Again, I think playing the exact same character he plays in everything he's in nearly. But his death is also probably one of my favorites in the series, just because he's being an absolute asshole dude, like businessman dude, just walking into this masseuse place and assuming that no one can understand English, and you think he's going to die by all these different means and stuff. And there's a part where he like falls off the table, the masseuse table, because a fire starts, and then he'd had all those like pin needles put in him, for they do for whatever, release your muscles, whatever. And he falls on those, and you think that would kill him or something, but no, that just of course causes a lot of pain because they like push further into him, and then after everything like that, it's all it is a Buddha statue that falls on his head and squashes it. It's the one of my favorite deaths. Oh, and then the other really cool thing about this one is, like Bloodlines, as I said, has a cool reveal, the way it ties everything in. But this one, the whole movie, you're watching it, you don't know when it's taking place. And then at the end of the movie, it's revealed it's actually a prequel to the first one, because they end up on the same plane. And then it's this really cool moment the first time you're watching it, where all these characters are like boarding a plane. They think they've like survived and beaten death, but then they reveal the flight number, and you see the characters from the first movie like sitting off to the side. And there's at that moment, of course, the audience is like, oh, they're about to fucking die in this plane, because the plane dies. So yeah. And then number 1, Final Destination 2. That was the one I watched the most as a kid. I think the highway scene at the start, just the most memorable scene out of any of the Final Destination movies. The way that they just place all these vehicles and things, and everyone just goes to absolute shit. The introduction, when the characters who survive this one, they all meet up, and then they go find Ali Larder's character, who's been like sort of locked herself in a hospital, because she knows death's coming for her. So the way they link all that together, and it tries to build in this lore to it by having like, oh, if you could create life, you'll be able to escape death, but then that doesn't turn out to be true. But it has a lot of really interesting elements. It's probably just the most well made, I think, of the Final Destination films, and is like just one of those core early 2000 horror movies to me. So there you go. That's my ranking.
Cool. So head over to explosionnetwork.com if you weren't following along and need to see it written down.
It's just an article that
or
says
just help us out.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's it. Just
yeah, and then just transcript from this episode.
Yeah.
All right. I watched the first 2 episodes of the new Apple TV Plus series, Murderbot, in which Alexander Skarsgård plays a biological security droid robot thing, who has cracked it's called a governor chip, I want to say, or something like that. It has been able to free itself of the restrictions of humans, and now has complete free will and autonomy. But it can't give away that it's got autonomy, otherwise the company that owns him will likely destroy him, because they don't want like a unit running around with free will. He kind of like hates humans, and like he's kind of disgusted and tolerates them. And what he really would prefer to be doing with his days is just watching the soap operas that he can access through his new, access through the networks that he's able to access now that he's freed himself from the governorship. Unfortunately, he's been assigned to work on this surveying project with what is essentially a bunch of hippies. And yeah, so he's all along for the ride with these bunch of hippies on this surveying camp. And so far, things have not gone well because there is fauna on this planet that they were not expecting. So that is the basic premise. Again, Alexander Skarsgård as Murderbot, as he refers to himself. It is a lot of fun. It is really fantastic. Like, obviously, we watched the trailer a few weeks ago. This show is very heavy on inner monologue. So, that wasn't just the thing for the trailer.
From the robot.
Yeah, from the robot. Alexander Skarsgård. Murderbot is constantly talking. Huh?
Are they allowed inner monologues? Like, that's saying they have, thought.
Yeah, well, he's creative free will for himself.
Whoa.
He's got full thought. He's a free sentient being.
Crazy.
Yeah, so he's, talking about how these humans disgust him and it's gross and how much he hates eye contact and all this kind of stuff. You've got, this a collection of people from, I can't remember exactly, but there are a group of people who believe that, sentient beings, all sentient beings should be free, and that really sec units are a form of slavery and that kind of thing. But to be able to do this job that they're doing for some reason that hasn't been explained yet, they need to have a sec unit for insurance purposes. So that's why they pick the sec unit, who just happen to be stuck behind a newer model of a sec unit, and they choose to take this refurbished model with them on this journey. Unfortunately, there is one augmented human played by David Dastmalchian who picks up pretty early that this Murderbot, this sect unit is not working 100% like it's supposed to, because there is a scene where a giant sand centipede comes out of the ground and attacks somebody, and Murderbot rescues them, but then takes his mask off and tries to comfort someone in shock, which is not something that's meant to be in their programming or whatever. But it turns out lines that he watched on an episode of his soap. The soap, what was it? It's called The Rise and Fall of Sanctuary Moon, which was a lot of fun to watch because it's kind of fun of just over the top ridiculousness. So yeah, there is an episode where David Dastmalchian is kind of interrogating Murderbot and requiring him to keep on eye contact with him because he has to follow orders, otherwise he'll be found out as being faulty and that kind of stuff. So, yes, he pretty much, and also Murderbot has access to all the cameras in the base, which are everywhere apparently because the corporation of fucking voyeurs. I'm sure it's for insurance purposes and that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a fun comedy. They're only 22 to 29 episodes. So it's not like a full hour-long sci-fi kind of thing. It's just it's kind of a weird sitcom. Really well written, very diverse cast. The only other person I'm familiar with is Sabrina Wu, who was in Joyride, which is one of the actors in this. So, yeah, I'm having a really good time.
The trailer didn't recognize a lot of people.
Yeah, then when you click, yeah, it's really well put together, really well shot. A lot of fun, very witty. Alexander Skarsgård is carrying it for a large part because his inner monologue is so perfectly timed with whatever action they're doing in the scene. You know what I mean? They've just timed his remarks perfectly with what's happening in the scene and that kind of stuff. So, and his just dry, witty delivery is perfect. So, I'm really digging it. I'm looking forward to watching more episodes. So yeah, the first 2 episodes dropped first. So go check out Murderbot on Apple TV+. All right, let's move into the mandatory Netflix segment of the show. And Dylan, you watched a documentary called Fred and Rose West, a British horror story.
Yeah, so of course, I love to dive into the latest and greatest in Netflix murder documentaries. This is a 3-episode one that follows a story I knew nothing about, but from watching it gathered this would have been a huge deal if you lived in Britain at the time when it was happening in the mid 80s. I think it started, but the trial goes all the way through to the 2000s. But yeah, I mean, look, basically this I can't remember exactly how it starts, but it's like a kid goes missing. They have a lot of kids or something that they're looking after, and the cops begin looking into that because of the missing person thing, and that just leads slowly to their very early arresting Fred West for the murder because they find her body buried on his property, this which is in the middle of, I don't remember if it was in London or somewhere else. It wasn't London, but somewhere in the UK, right? But like a town, picture a British, like very populated town with the type of houses that all look the same. You're like, how's this person like hiding a body in there? Anyway, now imagine he's hiding more bodies there because every time the cops go back, they're finding more bodies and more bodies and more bodies, and it just gets worse and worse and worse every time it goes. Yeah, and obviously it just becomes this very sick and twisted thing. And then the police very early begin suspecting that Rose West, his wife, is involved, but they can't prove it. It takes a while. It's very obvious that Fred is trying to cover up for her. So like he's accepted and happy to sort of take the fall, and he's being somewhat cooperative with the police as much as he can to help protect her. Like he's happy to sort of give as much as he can to keep her safe, but then the police know that she would have had to have been involved because several deaths don't add up to like time and location and all these sorts of things. But yeah, I think it's one definitely worth watching. I can see why the this particular store would be a big British like sort of serial killer. You hear a lot about more American ones, I guess, but yeah, you can understand how these two would have been some of the biggest serial killers that Britain has had. Completely horrible, disgusting people. But yeah, unfortunately, does make for an interesting 3-episode Netflix crime series.
That's everything we've watched this week. Yeah, let's move on. Not much news this week. Cards happening at the moment. Everybody's over there. People reacting, giving us differing lengths of standing applauses.
My favorite thing it's just like all the news headlines. So and so receives a 6.5 minute. So and so receives a 7 minute. So and so receives a 5 minute 45 seconds standing ovation.
That means 10 minutes standing ovation, and then like 20 minutes later, this movie is shit.
Yep, movie receives a huge standing ovation. 2 months from now, when everyone else watches it, this movie sucks. How to get a 10-minute standing ovation?
That was just really generous. So, so we'll probably talk about Khan next week. So let's move on to giving some thumbs to trailers. Of course, you can find all the trailers we're about to talk about in the show notes below. If you notice, there's a big trailer that released this week that is not here on Thumbs to Trailers.
Oh, true.
That's because we talked about it on our new podcast. All New DC Cast is where we talked about the newest Superman trailer, and is where you will find all our DC related content, just like All New Marvel Cast, despite the fact that I'm talking about a Marvel podcast in the segment here. But that's beside the point. We are also currently doing a Superman rewatch, so we will be watching all the live action portrayals of Superman throughout film and TV. So go check out that podcast, because Superman starring David Corenswet is coming soon, and you need to have a base of reference to compare it to, because otherwise it won't be any fun.
Yep.
But let's talk about these trailers. Kicking things off with Nobody 2. Or Nobody 2, I guess. Directed by Timo Tjahjanto.
I thought you were saying
Bob Odenkirk.
I thought you were saying for a second. I was like, created by Timu. I'm like, really? They're doing movie scripts now? That's crazy. I'm like,
Timo.
Yeah, wow.
Yes. Bob Odenkirk, Connie Nielsen, RZA, Michael Ironside, Colin Salmon. Sorry. For a second, I'm like, should I just say RZR? No, that's not all right.
That would be that would make you very white if you said, like, you would change ethnicity and become the whitest person if you
All the Asians.
yeah,
read my book.
yeah.
Colin Salmon, Billy McLennan, Gage Munro, Paisley Cadorth, Christopher Lloyd, Colin Hanks, John Ortiz, and Sharon Stone. Workaholic assassin Hutch Mansell takes his family on a much-needed vacation to a small tourist town of Plumerville. However, he soon finds himself in the crosshairs of a corrupt theme park operator, a shady sheriff, and a bloodthirsty crime boss. Dylan, you enjoyed the first Nobody. What did you think of this trailer?
I mean, yeah. Look, I obviously when it finished, it was like, hey, if this movie makes enough money, we'll get a sequel to this. I will say, I'm interested to see how the movie plays in full because the director has directed a few VHS segments, and he's done a lot of a like sort of horror movie adjacent stuff. And he's also his VHS segments are on the more action horror side, so I can get like where potentially he was picked up to do this. Yeah, so I will be keen to see how that plays out in full because obviously the trailer plays a little bit more lighthearted, but then it might be obviously the violence might be amped up a bit when you're watching it a bit more bloody and fast paced and stuff like that. I do think the story's a little bit just and it's fine. I accept it because these films always are, but it's funny how it's like goes on. It's like you just stepped into the ground of a massive gang war, like like all this sort of stuff. But I mean the trailer's very funny. Was it one part where he like starts hitting a dude with the squishy like he puts the thing that was quite good. Looking forward to seeing Christopher Lloyd again getting on a Gatling gun or some shit. Double thumbs up. Yeah, I'm keen for it. I did really enjoy the first one. Obviously, I'll watch anything with Bob Odenkirk because he's my guy.
It's your guy. Yeah, I'll give it 2 thumbs up. I thought it was really good. I never got around to watching Nobody, so maybe I'll rectify that.
I'm talking about it like for some reason I didn't even question.
Like I knew.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah. As this gives me, incentive to go back and catch that one. So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting that the director didn't come back. I guess didn't want to, but this director has, a couple of. I mean, there's that movie It Comes at Night, which is like an action thriller. Or The Night Comes For Us with what's his face from one of the dudes from The Raid.
Yeah, I haven't watched that one, but yeah,
yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like he's done a lot of like his horror movie segments in VHSs are the more actiony ones. So I'm just assuming. Like I've seen Headshot, which he's done as well, because that has my boy Iko Uwais is in it.
My boy, who I can't call.
Yeah, my bad. Yeah, they're my favorite boys. He does. I guess that's my thing. Like the trailer just has very lighthearted, fun sort of vibes, which I'm sure the movie will have because so did the original. What I'm hoping for though is you can have lighthearted fun, and I'm just not seeing it in the trailer. Obviously, if they released a Red Band trailer, I might see it. But I'm hoping on top of the lighthearted fun, I need to see some like visceral violence, and not like horror movie violence, but you know what I'm saying. I'm saying like R-rated action violence.
Yeah. Let me tell you, I do enjoy a film set in a theme park when it's like action is happening in a theme park.
All right, no, what's your other pull for
that? 3 Ninjas.
Yep. Okay.
Mount whatever it's called.
Because as soon as you said it, I'm like, okay, name 3 movies. top three action movies set during a theme park.
There's a really great Greg Rucka novel that's set at a theme park. I feel like there is probably another one that I can't remember. Yeah, theme parks are pretty good.
Very nice.
Yeah, so Nobody 2 is coming to do cinemas on the 14th of August.
Yeah, you should watch the first one so you can go watch that.
Yeah. Next trailer is for Americana, directed by Tony Tost. starring Sydney Sweeney, Paul Walter Hauser, Halsey, Eric Dane, Zane McClanahan, and Simon Rex. Numerous people find their lives intertwined in a death match while fighting over an expensive Native American ghost shirt. So this film debuted at South by Southwest in 2023, finally getting a release later this year. Dylan, what do you think of the trailer?
Well, it has my girl Sydney Sweeney in it, so
Mm-hmm.
I remember her name, so good on me. Yeah, double thumbs up. This just looks like a wild time. Absolute wild time. That kid in the trailer who's like, what's he say? Used to be more horses back in my time. At that point, I was in. Like that was the about what 3/4 for a trailer says that. I'm like, yep, brilliant. Of course, Zahn McLaren is the main Native American in the film because that's his thing. Like any film that's like
they saw Hawkeye and they're like,
yeah,
he's great. He should be in this.
He is great. My thing, like he's definitely become the guy though. Like as far as we need a Native American actor to a prominent role. There you go. Here's your guy.
What are you talking about? Amber Mead Thunder is right there. But she's not a male.
No.
And old.
Yeah.
So
I'll say I know people might be like, oh, Halsey. Halsey was okay in Maxine. As much as I didn't think that was a good third entry to that series. Her limited role in that I'm basing what I've seen of her acting because she hasn't acted of it. That's the first thing I saw her act in. I was like, she was fine. She was I didn't have any problems. So.
Okay. Speaking of that, sorry. Side note, did you see the reviews for Hurry Up Tomorrow?
Which one's Hurry Up Tomorrow?
The Weekend's movie.
Oh yeah, it's bombing, right? People saying it's terrible. I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's polarizing. There are people who really like it.
Sure.
But the majority of people at one point I saw the Rotten Tomatoes was 0.
Yeah.
Which that's something you rarely see.
Yeah. I mean didn't I say that it looked terrible when I watched it? I remember thinking it looked terrible. So.
I believe so.
Yeah,
yes.
I'm not shocked.
So anyway, really like this. I mean, it's like a very classic story of like a bunch of people all trying to commit the same crime, I guess, at the same time. But you know, those always end well and are super fun and enjoyable.
And the crime is stealing a
Native American ghost
shirt, which is, I guess, worth a lot.
I mean, in the diner, they said they'll buy it for $1 million or something from somebody if they steal it. So, and that's enough for Sydney Sweeney to go be a singer in Nashville. So,
that's fair.
Americana is coming to US cinemas on the 22nd of August. No confirmed Australian release date.
Can't be saying stuff like that. These days, that insane has just got me.
The cultural appropriation is the thing.
Used to be more horses in my day. Good shit. That was good shit.
Next trailer is for Task, created by Brad Inglesby, starring Mark Ruffalo, Tom Pelphrey, Amelia Jones, Thuso Bidu, Raul Castillo, Jamie McShane, Sam Keeley, Fabian Frankel, and Alison Oliver. In the working class suburbs of Philadelphia, an FBI agent heads a task force to put an end to a string of violent robberies led by an unsuspecting family man. Don't we both loved Mayor of Easttown? What do we think of that creator's next film project?
I'm very, very excited for this. Trailer's fantastic. Very good job at setting up it goes, here's the bad guys, but are they that bad? Here's the FBI agent, but is he that good? And I'm like, yeah, I'm in. And then look at the cast list, and I'm like, I love, as much as I love Mark Ruffalo and stuff like that, my favorite thing for this is Tom Pelphrey, I think. Pelphrey.
Yeah.
Who I have been a fan of since Banshee. And he's been in a lot of things since then, but I just don't think he's had his big moment. And this potentially,
he hasn't had his Homelander moment.
No, I think this could be it. Like I'm quite a fan of his, so yeah, I'm hopeful.
Yeah, I mean, I give it 2 thumbs up as well. I think looked really intriguing, really well put together, trailer wise. Like you said, just kind of give you a glimpse of both sides, and like you kind of get an idea what the story is going to be. I mean, it's a bit of a departure from Mayor of Easttown, where there's a mystery running through the entire thing. This one, It's like, is this task force going to catch this person we know is doing the wrong thing?
Looks like more of a character-driven thing than a mystery.
Yeah, even though Mare Easttown was also character-based thing. So
yeah, but I mean, like there was a core mystery. The pull for this is this seems more like this is the same genre to me as like Heat. You're seeing both sides. They're chasing. One's trying to run from the other one, one's chasing it. But you're sort of like rooting for both at the same time for different reasons. Yeah,
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, because you've seen Heat. Yeah. You fucking piece of shit. Why are we watching all these shitty fucking movies when you haven't watched? Fuck's sake.
Talking about Three Ninjas and
Heat 2's coming, man.
One day. Then I'll finally watch it. We'll do a spoiler cast. You gotta save it for then, right?
You can only disappoint me. I remember I tried to show. I loved Heat, right? I'd watched Heat so many times and then I remember attempting to show one of my friends when I was like 18. And to set you up, no longer friends with this person. Tried to show them. They said they got bored and we had to turn it off. Anyway, I'm not friends with them anymore. So
Task is heading to what we assume will be HBO Max in September.
HBO Max, that's right.
Next trailer is for Mountainhead, directed by Jesse Armstrong, starring Steve Carell, Jason Schwartzman, Corey Michael Smith, and Rami Youssef. Wealthy friends meet up amidst an ongoing financial crisis.
This is disgustingly on the nose. Double thumbs up. They ended Succession, and then they come out with this. So, yep, fair game.
Yeah, 2 thumbs up as well. Like, it feels like this is like a follow-up to Succession almost. It's like, oh, we're just going to do another episode, like, set in the same world with the same shitty kind of people. What a fantastic cast, Steve Carell being a shitty person, Jason Schwartzman being a shitty person, Corey Michael Smith being a shitty person, especially coming off playing Chevy Chase. And then Rami Youssef kind of being the conflicted person amongst the group.
I couldn't tell in the trailer if he's conflicted or not, or if he's just fucking around. Like, when he's like, is it because we have, because we have terrible policies and blah, 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 and all that sort of stuff? And then, like, everyone laughs. I'm like, is he saying that, like, sarcastically, or is he legit saying that? I'm not sure what he's...
I think he's legit saying it and knowing it will come off as sarcastic because these are fucking idiot people with no hearts. Jesse Armstrong did a fantastic job running this session. I'm excited to see what he's got to work up with here. Obviously, so like you said, so relevant on the nose.
You're literally watching. Okay, that's Jeff Bezos.
It's like Jesse Armstrong watched the inauguration. He's like, I've got an idea.
Yeah,
all those people are there.
Yeah, and that's I think crazy thing because it really feels like it's been made in the last month.
Could have been like based on. Yeah. It does look like it was. Very intensive, but yeah. Excited to check this out on the 31st of May on what may still be called Max. It's hard to say. When is that update going to go through that loads? Last trailer for this week, Ironheart. Created by Chinaka Hodge, starring Dominique Thorne, Anthony Ramos, Lyric Ross, Alden Ehrenreich, Reagan Alia, Manny Montana, Matthew Elam, and Angie White. Following the events of Black Panther Wakanda Forever, MIT student Riri Williams returns to Chicago where she becomes entangled with the enigmatic Parker Robbins, aka the Hood, discovering secrets that pit technology against magic and setting her on a path of danger and adventure.
I'm going to go one up, one down for this one. I think I'm sort of intrigued, but the trailer does a little mix of, hey, this looks exciting, this looks new, and then like the mix of like typical Marvel TV show stuff, I guess would be it's sort of a mixed bag, I think. Doesn't do enough in the trailer, I think, to set up the lead as the most interesting character, but instead goes, hey, this magic dude, Anthony Ramos, he's a interesting actor we all like at the moment, right? What's his story? He comes across as easily the most interesting person in the trailer, I think. And then I'm really keen to learn who Alden Ehrenreich's playing, because obviously prominent enough actor. His role, the character I googled, apparently not know from comic books, so a new character for the series. So intriguing there. Hopefully it's good. I will say for other people, because obviously a lot of people are hating on the show for this is one of those shows that from the get-go has been hated on for obvious.
Oh,
yeah.
it's a show that starts a woman of color. Of course, people are going to hate it.
And
it's got similar powers to someone that we all love, and
I just like to think like the
is
most
no longer around.
Trailer Pop's top comment after I watched it the other day whenever it released. Top comment at that time was, "Who asked for this?" or whatever. I'm like, you motherfuckers didn't ask for
Nobody
Guardians
asked
of
for
the
anything.
Galaxies either, or any of these other random shit they do. It's a fucking comic book series, and Marvel turns comic book series into movies and television shows. No one asked for it.
All the
That's
time.
literally what they do. Shut the fuck up. Because it is driven
Yes.
by either racism or sexism or a combination of both, and that's it. And the exact same happened. I remember this character is relatively new, and I remember the same sort of outbursts when the comics were happening, but not to the extent, because obviously the comic book audience isn't as loud as the obviously TV shows hit a more general
It's a little bit more
populace
niche.
and whatever. Yeah, a little bit more niche, but yeah, I'm like, let's just repeat but louder, whatever.
I'll give it 2 thumbs up. I enjoyed the setup of like the elevator thing and that kind of stuff, and to see a little bit of she's an intelligent person and engineering skills to get out and that kind of stuff. Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I wish it would remind us a little bit more of Riri Williams and who she is and that kind of stuff, because obviously it's been.
I wonder how much of the first
3
episode
years.
is going to just have flashbacks and references to Wakanda Forever.
Black Panther, yeah. So,
really
it
intrigued.
looks solid enough.
Really intrigued to see how they do They don't have a lot in here, obviously, but yeah, they tease it in the synopsis. But how are they going to do the whole? They're doing like magic versus science storyline, which will be because the hood is magic. Like there's no and magic's in Marvel.
It's just
so
like the opening of Avengers Infinity War, where Doctor Strange and Iron Man are in the same scene.
True.
So, yeah, excited seeing as it's a show that we're only a few weeks ago. Like, where the hell is this?
Yeah, it's funny because I think at some stage we finished recording something. I was like, when's the next Marvel thing? Like, where the hell's Ironheart?
When we finished talking about Thunderbolts,
was it? Yeah,
asterisks.
I remember literally saying, when the hell's Ironheart coming out? I was like, I don't know, it must be soon though, or whatever. And then like a week later or 2 weeks later or whenever it is now, then they dropped the trailer. I was like, oh, timing.
They listen. That's what happened.
That's true.
So the first 3 episodes of Ironheart of 6 will drop June 24th.
Interesting.
On Disney Plus. Let's move into this week's top 3.
Definitely in the top 3.
And in honor of Lilo and Stitch, the live-action remake, this week's top 3 is top 3 live-action remakes. Shocker.
Let me find my list,
Right. Tell them, what's your number 3?
Number 3 on my list is 101 Dalmatians. The classic 90s film. Which, the thing with this is, I watched that before the animation. When I was a kid, I actually saw the live action first. So when I saw the animation, I just didn't like it anywhere near as much. I thought it was a bit more. I definitely prefer the Cruella in the movie to the Cruella in the animation. Just a bit more rough. The Cruella in the animation, a bit more drawn, I think more sophisticated. And of course, she's meant to be sophisticated in the movie as well. But I just preferred that version and that story. And I remember, like, obviously the other thing is real dogs. Real cute dogs.
Yeah.
Real cute dogs are better than cute animated dogs. Animated cute dogs are cool too, but real cute dogs are cuter. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. My number 3 is Inspector Gadget.
Wow.
Obviously, a live-action version of the animated cartoon of a detective or inspector, police officer. I don't know what he is. Who's got all these...
He's a police officer, inspector, yeah.
Yeah. He's got all these gadgets inside. He's like a robot, but a human, I guess. Perfectly cast as
Matthew Broderick. They did 2 of these, I think, right? Didn't they do 2?
They only made.
He's not.
They
in the
made
second
2
one,
Inspector Gadget, but he's not in the second one. It's played by what's his name? French.
I can't remember. I never watched the second one. I definitely watched the first one. I remember seeing it at the cinemas actually.
Yeah. So, obviously a big hit as a kid. So, very fond of this one. So that's my number 3.
I collected all the McDonald's toys. They had toys at the time. I remember nagging my parents to make sure I went there.
Surely it's time for Inspector Gadget revival, right?
The thing is, when I got older and I watched RoboCop, I was like, oh, RoboCop's just the adult version of Inspector Gadget.
It turns out you don't need gadgets; you just need guns.
Yeah, I was like, that was my reference point. It's like a guy gets mangled up, gets upgrades. Inspector Gadgets gets like cool upgrades and it's lighthearted fun. RoboCop's like, I'm in pain all the time. Criminals, stop! Like,
Bam,
bam. Yeah. My number 2 is the Jungle Book. The what, early 2010s? I can't remember the fucking year. But I really, really enjoyed that. I remember, like, this is still, because my number 1 pick's a bit of a, I'm giving myself a, it's not really is it a full remake? Is it, anyway, we'll get to that in a sec. But this as a full remake is one time where I'm going, I would rate it as the best straight remake of a Disney film is the Jungle Book. Now they have a few less songs, but it's still good. And Baloo's still great. I enjoyed it so much that I watched it. I've watched it probably the most amount of times. I probably watched this film 3 or 4 times, I think, to be honest, which is a lot. And I remember when they announced that Jon Favreau was doing the Lion King afterwards, I was excited for that at the time because I liked this so much, but then was completely disappointed in the way it played out. But yeah, I remember like reading about the casting too, and they're like, Bill Murray's going to be Baloo. I'm like, perfect. I can see that from the get go. I can see that. Yeah, so. King Louis, Christopher Walken, I can see that. Does what? Shut my ass. Like, it's good.
All right. My number 2, I suspect, might be your number 1 based on your description. Cruella.
Correct. Yeah, that's my number 1.
Yes. So obviously, I guess it is based on an animated film because it is Cruella from 101 Dalmatians, but it is a prequel to all that before she decides that she needs to skin Dalmatians for a suit. Just a fun story about, I think obviously Emma Stone plays a big part, like her adversary in who is her adversary? Who plays the bad guy in that film? Is it
in this Emma Thompson? Yeah, Emma Thompson's the bad guy. So.
Yeah, and just like her being this sweet little girl and then kind of being corrupted by the world, I guess.
Yeah.
And what all the outfits, incredible.
Yeah, the costume design in this movie is sensational. I definitely believe the history books are bad on this film. Too many people viewed it as just I think they did go, this is a bad remake or bad reimagining of the original film, but I definitely just take it as, and that's why I'm giving myself half points for this, because although it is like based on it, it's just like nothing to do or even close to representing. And by the time you get to the end of this movie, I know we discussed this in on our spoiler cast that we did years ago or whatever, we discussed how by the time you get to the end of this movie, you don't really see how it could even go in the direction of, like, it's its own thing. It's its own world in Cruella and everything. But I'm fine with that because this Cruella was way more interesting. She was, it was a very adult character for this family-friendly film, I thought. And it somehow kept, even with her cartoonish vibes, it kept the psychology of the character in a adult world where, if you think about it, there's a lot more hurt and trauma there that drives her than the movie plays to the more family-friendly audience. And yeah, Emma Stone is just, I think, really, really good in this, and the whole cast is great. Paul Walter Hauser as well, Joel Fry. Those two have great chemistry as the bumbling fools. Yeah, and then Emma Thompson as the lead of the fashion company that she starts working for. Is just evil as well. It's great.
Yeah, really good. My number 1, Speed Racer, directed by the Wachowskis. It's a great movie, underrated, underappreciated. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. It is a visually stunning film. Really fun sports film. It maybe doesn't pick a tone, and that's an issue, but it's a good time, and I love it. Great cast, enjoyable time. Who doesn't love a good racing film? Which is what this is. Where you're bouncing all over the place, just like real life.
Hey, listen to our spoilercast. Go back 3
Yeah,
years
go
ago.
back and listen to like the second episode of What Do You Want to Watch, where we did a spoiler. We talked about it at the end of an episode.
Who the fuck picked that? Wasn't it Nick? Or was it actually you?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was me.
Okay, that's wild. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So that's our top 3. Dylan, this week, what do you want to watch?
Well, Lilo and Stitch. I
Mm.
don't know what you want to do.
Anything else?
On the TV front, I would like to watch. Hold on, my tabs froze, and now it won't reload. I'm just going to use my phone. My computer hates me. You go while. Hold on. We're just going to edit it. Whatever.
On the TV front, much like Dylan, I'm excited to watch Motorheads, the Fast and the Furious YA's TV show that's coming to Prime Video. We're super excited to watch it. And then I'm also keen to check out Fountain of Youth, the latest film from Guy Ritchie, starring Natalie Portman, and I can't remember his first name. John Krasinski, there we go. Which they're chasing the Fountain of Youth, giving it heavy, heavy, heavy National Treasure vibes. So, very keen. On Apple TV Plus, so you don't have to go to watch that one.
Is that thing out this week for real?
Yes. Directed by Guy Ritchie, written by the writer, brought to you by the writer of Zodiac.
Cool. That's cool. It's cool. I'm excited to watch the finale of Doctor Who.
That's also a good pick.
The
Also,
penultimate
the
episode.
finale of before the next episode, the finale of Last of Us will be out.
You know what else will be out? The finale of The Rehearsal is out next week as well on Monday.
Yeah, episode 6, I believe.
Episode 6.
That would be
correct. Yeah, that's correct.
a round number that would make sense.
That would make sense. Yeah.
To end a series on a season of television.
So I'd watch that. Yeah.
So, yes, I just had to double check that it is actually 6 episodes. So I'll need to catch up, because I've fallen behind. Did you see someone came out, like one of the singers who were in the reality?
Yep, they got real pissed. Yep.
Yeah.
It's very funny.
I mean, the internet seems a little bit split on if she should be upset or not, but
Nah.
for being manipulated, these people for being manipulated into believing they're in a real reality contest.
I don't know.
No, you feel no emotion.
I feel no emotion towards, I just think, this is my dream. To what? Be on a reality TV show?
To win the opportunity to sing a non-public domain
yeah.
song. Well, I can't remember what he said the prize was in the show. But it was something very not
it's
good.
in the show. They have it. I think it's in episode 3. It starts with... How many episodes have you watched?
I've watched the 2.
So I think episode 3 starts with the song, which they have about 20...
The winner?
No, because they can't pick a winner because they're too indecisive. So they've got several groups of people that are on the show, and it's they're all separated by punk rock, hip hop, and everything. And the camera just pans around as they're all singing the same song, and whatever the song is, I can't remember. But they're all singing the song, but broke up into different genres. And at the end, it's they all clap and comes up Wings of whatever, and it's that was the thing they filmed.
I thought they were going to perform somewhere.
Yeah, for the show.
No, like a.
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure on episode where he says it's the prize is to perform to get seen on the HBO the series or whatever. I don't think he lied too much about what the prize was.
Was okay. Let us know what you want to watch this week by letting us know on Blue Sky at explosionnetwork.com, or find us on other social media at ExplosionPod. If you want to help us out here at What Do You Want to Watch, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or on Podchaser. Leave us 5 stars adequately, 5 stars, or just tell people about the show. And if you've enjoyed this episode, thought us worth $1, head on over to our Ko-fi page at explosionnetwork.com/support. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time, keep watching stuff, I guess.